Hi, I'm Adam Geis.
I'm David Lurch.
We're hosts of the EdTech Distilled podcast, which is a part of the Education Podcast Network.
Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Coming up on episode 222 of the House of EdTech podcast, I want to talk about the importance of being open-minded. I've got 4 more Chrome extensions for you, and I'm talking with Logan Greenhaw, the founder of Classmate.io. Strike up the band.
Welcome to the House of EdTech. My name is Chris Nessie. The House of EdTech launched in 2014, giving me the opportunity to speak with teachers, leaders, and creators so you can more effectively integrate technology, strengthen your pedagogy, and have more confidence in your classroom and school so you can make an impact. Get involved with the podcast by visiting my website, chrisnessie.com. Using technology isn't difficult, and this is where it begins. This is the House of EdTech.
And I'm excited to welcome you into this episode of the podcast. If you are a brand new listener, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. This is a big episode. A little longer than I've been putting out recently, but the conversation that I had with Logan from Classmate.io was amazing, and I want to make sure that you focus on that conversation and you check out Classmate.io. It is springtime here. I am recording this as I finish up my spring break, and the end of the school year is in sight. I want to preview one big important news item, and that is I will be at ISTE 2023 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I got my credentials all in order, and as of right now, I am planning on being in Philadelphia for ISTE on the Monday and Tuesday of ISTE. And I am hoping to be doing some live streaming or podcast recording. I will be available, and I want to meet you if you are going to be in Philadelphia for ISTE Live 2023. I'm probably going to set up another cheesesteak meetup, and that'll be powered by the Education Podcast Network, of which I am the founder and runner of the network. So I'll be connecting with some of the other education podcasters that are a part of the network, and even those who are not a part of the Education Podcast Network. I just think it's really cool when you can meet people who create the podcasts that you enjoy listening to. And if you enjoy this one, I want to meet you. So let me know now if you're going to be coming to ISTE, or if you're going to be in Philadelphia and you're not attending ISTE, but you'll be in that area. Let's get together. Let's hang out. Let's make it happen. So let me know. Tweet at me at Mr. Nessie, MRNESI. Let me know if you're going to be in Philly. All right. That's all the news that's fit to talk about. Let's get into this episode's EdTech Thought. Today I want to discuss a topic that I believe is crucial to the success and growth of both you as an educator and your students alike. This is the importance of being open-minded, especially during these challenging times in education here in 2023 as I record this. As teachers, as educators, we are given the responsibility of shaping the minds and molding the hearts of our students. We are not just educators, but we are also role models, mentors, and guides. Our classrooms serve as microcosms of society, where we must strive to create an environment that fosters empathy, understanding, and acceptance. To achieve this, we must be open-minded ourselves, embracing new ideas, perspectives, and we need to embrace teaching methods and technology to better serve our diverse student needs. Challenging times, such as the ones we face today, often push us out of our comfort zones. Technology pushes us out of our comfort zones. And this can be daunting, but it is in these moments that our true potential as educators is revealed. When we approach challenges with an open mind, we allow ourselves to grow, adapt, and ultimately become better educators. Our students come to us from different backgrounds, with different experiences, beliefs, and of course, different learning styles. By embracing open-mindedness, we can better understand and appreciate the unique perspectives our students bring into the classroom. This understanding, in turn, allows you and I to create more inclusive and supportive learning environments where every student feels valued and every student has the opportunity to thrive. Being open-minded means that we are always willing to learn and evolve. The world is constantly changing, and so are the methods and the tools that are available for us when we're teaching. We need to stay curious, and we need to be open to the new ideas that enable us to continually refine our craft, ensuring that we remain effective and relevant in an ever-shifting education landscape. In challenging times, it is not uncommon for us to encounter resistance or criticism, both from within ourselves and from others. Open-mindedness will allow us to engage in constructive dialogue, to listen and learn from differing viewpoints, and to ultimately make better decisions for our students and ourselves. We must remember that it is through these difficult conversations and these moments of introspection and reflection that we grow as people and as educators. Finally, it is important to acknowledge that being open-minded does not mean that we must abandon our own values and our own beliefs. Instead, it means that we are willing to consider alternative viewpoints and engage in respectful discourse, and ultimately make informed decisions based on the best interests of ourselves and our students. Cultivating open-mindedness as a teacher is essential for both personal and professional growth, as well as for the development and success of our students. During challenging times, and even when things are going perfect, it is more important than ever to remain open to new ideas, embrace change, and celebrate the diversity that makes our classrooms and our world a richer and more vibrant place. And that's my EdTech thought. And now it's time for the featured content of this episode. I am going to play for you in just a second or so a conversation that I recently had with Logan Greenhaw, who is the founder of AutoClassmate.io. It's a great conversation. You're going to get a lot of insight into where AutoClassmate.io came from, what Logan does in education, and kind of the roadmap of what AutoClassmate.io is and where it's going. And yes, this is an AI-themed conversation, and we have to be embracing this technology. So I really hope you get a lot out of this conversation. And without further ado, here is my conversation with Logan Greenhaw, the founder of AutoClassmate.io. And joining me now on this episode of the House of EdTech, Logan Greenhaw. Logan is an 8th grade English teacher at a public school in North Carolina. And he is also, and that's why he's here, he's the creator of AutoClassmate, which I talked about back on episode 220 of the podcast. And AutoClassmate is this education-specific AI tool. And while I talked about it briefly, I know I did not do it justice. So that's why I'm reaching out to and I'm happy to bring on Logan, the creator of AutoClassmate. Logan, what's up? Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Chris. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm incredibly excited to be having this conversation with you. I'm incredibly excited to have this conversation with anyone, but specifically you, because of your excitement and enthusiasm currently for AI and how it's impacting education. So thank you.
I got to be honest, and I've used this metaphor before, but I'll use it with AI. If AI was a woman, my wife would be very upset with how much I'm trying to do and get to know and get close to AI right now. So
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of what we can do, and it just blows my mind. And it must be
really,
blowing your mind because of what you're doing.
it really is incredible, and you're 100% correct. It can, once you start using AI, it can be a black hole that just sucks you down, and you'll never stop using it once you really start. And, you lose hours of time, but you also come out, hopefully, the other side with some new knowledge or some new strategies. It all depends on how you're going to use it at the start.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I think one of these, we talk about 21st century learning and preparing kids for jobs that don't exist yet. Well, I think there's going to be a brand new job called how to write effective AI prompts and get these tools, whether it's ChatGPT or if a teacher's going to use Auto Classmate. It's, it's just a hammer is just a hammer sitting there. You actually have to physically pick it up and do something to make the hammer work or the saw cut. So being able to write effective prompts and ask these AI tools to do something, that's a skill. And certainly people are trying to develop that skill. But let's do a little bit of a reset here. So you are a teacher, right? You teach middle school. I mean, God bless you for that. There's a reason. There's a reason I don't teach middle school, because I believe it takes a special kind of person. So already I have the utmost respect for you professionally.
Well, but my whole family has joked around that, like, even as an adult who's about to turn 30 years old, I still act like a middle school student. So, like, I think I'm just where I belong is what it boils down to.
Nice. So you must have some type of interest in AI or design and coding and just computer science. So give us the origin story of how you got to Auto Classmate and where did it come from?
Sure. So I kind of arrived in the education arena. I would call it an arena personally as an 8th grade teacher.
I would too.
It feels
Absolutely.
like that. I arrived at the arena kind of in a roundabout way. I did not go to school to study education. I did not intend on becoming a middle school teacher when I went through college and graduate school. I was really into religion and philosophy and the academic pursuit of just knowledge, and had convinced myself that, like, I just wanted to stay in school my whole life, pursue a PhD, go teach at the collegiate level, and all of that fun stuff. At the same time, in grad school, I got very interested in web development and web design, and started, as I was learning, a freelance web design agency, and basically just started to acquire clients here and there, working mostly for nonprofits, and then also, local small businesses, those types of things. And as I just dove deeper into the web development world, the more that I learned and just kind of developed that skill set. And by the time I graduated graduate school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And it was a conversation with my wife where I kind of realized that what I really wanted to do and what I really wanted to be at the end of the day was an editor. So I ended up applying to a bunch of jobs, and thank God a middle school in Hendersonville, North Carolina saw my resume, and they're like, you know what, we're going to give this kid a shot. And I became a teacher's assistant in a classroom for children with exceptional needs, and was in that classroom for 2 months before an 8th grade English teacher vacancy opened up at the school. And the principal coached me through, like, hey, in North Carolina, you can, enter into this space and pursue a lateral entry program and get into a classroom right here, right now, if that's what you want. And I said, okay, let's go for it. And so that was all last year. That was this past school year. And so I'm a beginning teacher, and am still, I feel very much so like a teacher. I have no idea what I'm doing every single day, but I'm doing my best. And as
let me just tell you,
yeah.
let me say this. I'm in this over 10 years, and there are days I feel like I do not know what I'm doing, and it feels like I'm doing something for the first time. So you're not alone, and it never goes away.
See, it's both comforting and discomforting to hear those words of wisdom. But like, I guess that's what keeps you coming back at the end of the day is like, you never know. There's always something new. There's always going to be that different experience, and you never know when it's going to pop up. And I think even right now, with where we're at in terms of education and artificial intelligence, is honestly, it feels like every day is new for probably not just educators, but everyone that's kind of plugged into the AI world because of how quickly things are developing and how many new technological advancements are being made seemingly every day. And in that respect, as an educator who has like this web development skill set, I started using ChatGPT specifically kind of at the end of last year, kind of a few months ago in December. And then when we came back from our holiday break in January, I really was pretty much using ChatGPT every single day to help like assist me with pretty much any kind of task that you can think of when it comes to education. But most specifically, I was using it as kind of like a conversation partner to help me really transform my activities that I had in mind for my classroom into something way more unique, much more robust, more standards aligned, like whatever it might be. I just started to realize, hey, AI can actually really assist you accomplish these really important tasks if you ask the right question and feed it the right. And that's where AutoClassmate, sorry, go for it.
I was like, can you talk about maybe an example or two of something that it helped you with specifically, an activity or a lesson that worked in your classroom?
Yeah, so I think the thing I'm most proud of ChatGPT for this, and I don't know if other teachers have done this before, but for me it was I never heard of the idea before. But one of the ongoing struggles in 8th grade English language arts is helping students accurately identify a theme of a short story or a fictional text. That's like kind of the thing that we're always searching for and the thing we're always struggling. So I've used ChatGPT to come up with a whole number of activities related to helping 8th grade students determine the theme of a fictional text. And one of the activities I thought was absolutely brilliant. Basically, the premise was whole activity. It's very simple, but incredibly powerful. The name of the activity was called The Theme Park. And the idea was you could take any fictional text. It could be a short story. It could be literally a paragraph. As long as there's some sort of theme involved in this story, you're good to go. What you do is you have the kids read that text, whether it's, it's a group or in partners or individually. But what they do afterwards is they're going to design a theme park based off of the theme of the story. So that means they're coming up with things like rides, restaurants, gift shops, anything that you would see or experience within a theme park. Your job is to theme your theme park around the theme of the specific text that we chose for that day. And they're literally sitting there with a piece of paper, colored pencils, markers, creating something with their hands. It did not involve like a screen whatsoever, but they were so incredibly engaged because it's a roundabout way of me having them identify the theme of the story without having them necessarily, all right, I need you to type up a theme statement here and it needs to meet these requirements. It's like, no, let's try drawing this picture where you're kind of stepping into the role of a theme park creator. And I thought, I
would say it's like, tell me the theme without telling me the theme.
Yes, exactly. And before they knew it, it's like they're, because I put a timer up on the screen and they're kind of rushing to fit in as many possible rides and attractions that they can in their theme parks. And then when the timer goes off, I'm having them share their responses out loud. And it's like without them noticing it, they're articulating the theme of this short story in a far more robust way than they ever would have if I just said, please write a theme statement or a paragraph about the story. And that's not a knock on writing. Like writing, I love writing and we do a lot of it in my class, but AI helped me come up with this like really simple, but also like engaging activity for the kids where they enjoyed it. And it's like, whether or not I have a piece of writing to prove it, I've got a drawing by every single student in that room. And I feel like it was really effective to watch. Like it was just a great day in class. And for that, it's like, why would I not at least just ask the question of AI or whatever AI tools that you're deciding to use, if it can help augment some sort of standard or lesson? I feel like it's worth just giving it a shot.
Absolutely. And, a lot of teachers, the ones who are not as open-minded as, you and I and my listeners would say, you're cheating. You didn't come up with this great original idea yourself. Well, to those people, I say, shut up. And it's no different than asking a colleague in the faculty room, hey, I want to do this. And you workshop in a conversation with a human being, and you could get to the same result. You did it,
Exactly.
And I'm doing it by interacting with artificial intelligence. So that's the way of the world, folks.
Yeah, and I think I'm incredibly grateful for my professional learning community that like we meet once a week to come up with, we're lesson planning, we're looking at data and we're analyzing the things the kids are creating. And thankfully, everyone in that like space, we're all aware of AI and we're all using it kind of collectively. And it's not that it's, separating us apart in any way. In fact, it's kind of like pulling us together because it frees up our kind of creative juices, so to speak. Like we still are being creative together. It's just like we're pulling in another member that's a robot, it's a computer, but like we're using it to like create dialogue, to come up with new ideas, to, kind of just spitball with. And it's a beautiful thing because what we're doing is coming up with something that's more effective at the end of the day in community with, which I feel like that's the point of education. I could be wrong. Again, I don't have a degree in
Be
this.
careful with these bright-eyed ideas about what this is supposed to be. No. You are on the right track,
I've been
Logan.
warned.
No, you're on the right track for sure. You have a long career ahead of you. But I think we kind of went off the rails with me trying to find out how you got to Auto Classmate. So let me get us back there. So what was your Doc Brown moment where you came up with the idea of Auto Classmate and said, all right, this is it. This is my thing.
Yep, perfect. So earlier you talked about kind of this idea of prompt engineering, essentially, where if you're using ChatGPT or AI in general, what's really important is the question that you're asking or the command you're giving it. And it's only going to give you, a high quality response if you give it a high quality question. So when I first started using ChatGPT, I was, being as creative as I possibly could, but was constantly revising the question I was asking of it. And I eventually got to a space where I had like a paragraph that was my prompt that I would give to ChatGPT, that included all these different parameters. And then the thing I would change is, okay, I want my 8th grade students to learn how to identify the theme of fictional text, or I want them to know whether or not evidence is relevant or irrelevant when it comes to some claim. As I kept doing this over and over again, I realized like, okay, it should not be the case that educators should have to go through the prompt engineering learning process because not all of us have the time or the interest. But if I've already done that process, what if I created a tool that's based off of my prompt that's tailored to give responses for educators? What if I just turn that into my own tool that is like quick, it's easy, you could do it within 30 seconds. Like you're rushed, you forgot to, or didn't have time to plan the day before. It's like, I just need something quick, that's free, that's cheap, and I can make it happen. And so that's what birthed Auto Classmate was, okay, I can turn my prompt into this website that has a tool that'll use all of the research essentially that I've done, but make it far more accessible for educators to have access to AI quickly, and it doesn't require additional steps. And so that's what it started as. was, hey, here's a prompt. I found it helpful. Maybe it'll be helpful for you. You can submit your grade level, what you want your students to learn, and then it'll generate 3 engaging activities about that thing you want your students to learn. And then you can download the PDF or share the URL with your colleagues. And let's keep it free, because educators are, in my opinion, in need of free types of things. So that's what it all started as from the get-go.
So a lot of what I read and listen to on other podcasts about just AI in general is, people talk about, the data set and where is the AI getting its information from. Can you talk a little bit about what AutoClassmate is using or pulling from to create its results when someone interacts with it?
Sure. So there are a couple of different kind of parameters or data sets that I specifically am implementing in or on the website. All of the tools that are currently live on the site are using variations of the same technology that ChatGPT uses. So it's integrated with OpenAI, but when you integrate with OpenAI on the web development side of things, you have the ability to kind of tweak different parameters so that even if you ask the same exact question and it's the same exact learning model, you actually can deliver or receive different responses. And again, over time, and this is something that I change almost on like a daily or weekly basis at this stage, is I actually will go in and fine tune the models that I'm using based off of the responses that it's currently generating. So for example, right now, my activation and engagement activity generator tool on the site that you featured on your podcast a few weeks ago, at this stage, it's created like over 10,000 different activities. And for me, that's 10,000 different data points. And to the best of my ability, when I have time, I can essentially go in and tag like, hey, this activity makes really good sense. Let's make more like this one. Or this one doesn't make much sense, or it doesn't sound like it would be effective. And I can go in and say, let's not make as many respond like that, so that the model actually kind of gets better. So the data that I'm feeding it, it's actually the data it gave me. I'm just kind of saying yes or no, this is good, this is bad. Over time, though, and I'm getting ready to like roll out all these things, I'll be able to integrate the newest models that are available by OpenAI. Like it'll be integrated with chat or with GPT-4 within, I'm hoping, a week's time. I'll have that as like an option for folks to use, because I do believe that depending like what you're saying on the data you give it and the model that you're using, it's really it changes the responses that you receive. And I like the idea of allowing educators to see those differences, or like kind of a choose your own adventure, choose your own model AI to best suit your individual needs in your specific education context.
As I was on the site, and again, it's autoclassmate.io, when I talked about it a few weeks ago and a couple episodes back, there were 2 tools available and 1 was coming soon. Now there's 3 tools available with 1 coming soon, and that could change by the time I even put this conversation out to the world. So right now you have the Would You Rather question generator. That seems pretty straightforward. You have the activation and engagement activity generator, which you talked about briefly. There's this new tool that I'm seeing called the lesson plan and activity forecast tool. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So one of the other ways that I was using ChatGPT early on was to basically predict potential negative outcomes of a particular activity I wanted to try in class. Because as a beginning teacher, every single thing that I do in a classroom on a given day is, for the most part, brand new to me. And I don't know how it's going to go. But ChatGPT, it was incredibly smart. It was intelligent. It's able to kind of, I think, give me some solid responses on what might go wrong in a lesson on a given day. And it could give me, if I asked it the right question, it could give me potential ways to avoid those negative outcomes. So I used, again, the prompts that I was using with ChatGPT, turn them into like my own prompt and then my own tool based off of a fine-tuned version of ChatGPT, or at least the OpenAI interface, so that a teacher can again go in, select their grade level, describe the activity very briefly, what they're planning on doing in their class, and then it'll give you a really long and robust response that's full of 2 potential ways that your activity might go well and ways to ensure or promote those positive outcomes. And then it'll give you 2 potential negative outcomes and ways to avoid those negative outcomes. That one it's very specific. It's an incredibly specific thing that it does. And I believe that as educators, or at least in my experience of other educators, I've not heard many educators talk about, how do we avoid the negative outcomes? It's more so kind of let's just get the activity put together and then let's run it. But
I think that's what makes a lot of teachers upset at times, because, they'll come up with this great activity. They write this great lesson. They go in, they're very excited to work with their kids, and their students are like, huh?
Yeah.
What is this? The first question you get is, can I go to the bathroom, when you ask, who has any questions? The other piece that I notice about this, and as you've been talking about it, it reminds me, it's almost like AutoClassmate is like OpenAI has their playground where they have all these different pre-made kind of recipes and ways that you can interact with, the AI. And you've created an education specific version of this, which I think is helpful for, the educator who might be hesitant to get involved. I have an in-class support teacher who works with me in one of my classes, and I've been showing her when I see her, hey, here's something else I did with, ChatGPT, or, hey, when I came across this, I'm like, hey, look at this. This is more education specific. So I even told her that this is probably a more effective way to get you to leverage the power that AI can bring to our profession. And here are some really specific tools. Now I got to show her, this third one that's available. And obviously, before I end this conversation, I'm going to find out what this fourth one is, and if you could preview what else is coming. But that's kind of where my head's at with what you're providing for educators. So again, if you haven't checked it out since I talked about it back on episode, 220, you got to go to autoclassmate.io and check out the tools that Logan has created. And I think you've done a fantastic job explaining your why, and that's going to help educators. So yeah. All right. What is the AI powered instructional coach? Now, I have an idea just based on the title, but I think this has the potential to upset people. Honestly, I don't care, because I think it's going to help more people than it upsets. So talk about that.
Yeah, sure. And I'm well aware of those potential kind of, negative feedback, folks, and I welcome those conversations. I really enjoy disagreement. I like creating a little bit of debate in my classrooms and in my life in general. It's conflict drives us towards better results as long as we're all, working towards a common goal eventually.
Yeah, you got to lean into conflict.
Exactly. It's good for you, and I need to take my own advice more often on that. But anyhow, the AI-powered instructional coach, that is the fancy term for essentially what will be the full integration with ChatGPT, where it actually feels like ChatGPT, but it's on the whole site. So essentially, that specific tool will be, it'll look a little bit similar to ChatGPT, except with the AutoClassmate branding. You'll hop in there. It's a fine-tuned version of ChatGPT that acts like an instructional coach. It knows and has been trained on things like state standards, classroom management strategies, and any type of solid resource that I could find about just being an instructional coach, like someone that is, either a veteran teacher or they have a lot of experience with different ideas, different educational context. This version of ChatGPT is trained on those resources and ideas and will basically act like this conversation partner with you to make you a better educator. It'll ask you questions about lesson plans that you have or activities that you're planning. It'll help you modify assignments or create rubrics. Any type of task you can think of, it will be an instructional coach for you that you have immediate, instantaneous, never-ending access to. That'll be its own kind of tool. Like there'll be a specific page on the site where you can just have these conversations. But the other thing that is about to come very soon is that piece of the website, this AI-powered instructional coach, will actually be basically a pop-up you can have access to anywhere on the site, and it knows what's on that page specifically. So for example, if you use the activation and engagement activity generator to create 3 engaging activities, you could then click that pop-up, see this conversation, have a conversation with your AI-powered instructional coach, and ask it just specific questions about those activities. Hey, can you please tell me which North Carolina 8th grade ELA standard best matches the second activity you recommended? Or could you redo these 3 activities based off of this specific standard? Or, hey, my classroom has, 5 students where English is not their first language. Could you please provide a modification of this assignment or activity number 2 on those lists so that I could provide that modification for my student? And it'll be a conversation you can have on the site at all times.
That's amazing. There's no other way to put it.
Well, it's creepy to me. So like on my end, like I have a version of the site. It's in like a local environment on my computer that only I have access to. And I have this full version of the site essentially built out, and I'm very close to making it live. But I have some like reservations and heads about it because it feels creepy is the word I keep using, because it's like once you train it and once it knows the information, it's hard to discern whether or not, like it feels like you're having a conversation, like a really intelligent, really, really awesome instructional. And it just feels kind of weird. But at the same time, it's like, wow, that's really powerful. I don't understand how you know how to do this so quickly and in such a robust fashion. But I feel like it's such a incredibly potent gift that this kind of technology has to offer us. And I think we could all be better educators with more time and with more space to be creative in new ways if we allow ourselves to use the tools. So I'm excited about it, and we'll see what happens when I make it live, hopefully very soon.
Again, it might even be out now. Again, I'm not sure exactly when this conversation is coming out, but there could be more tools. This whole thing could be live. And as somebody who is obviously a fan of AI, and I've done a couple episodes on it, and I'm tweeting about it, talking about it, and having great conversations with my colleagues in the history department in the school I teach in, I just got to say, don't, and like you're going to listen to me, but I'm going to give you my free advice. Don't slow down. Don't let that fear cloud your judgment, because you are creating and have created a really good tool that is and will help a lot of educators. And whether it's Auto Classmate or people get into ChatGPT, or, again, the nice thing also is you're the first, or one of the first, probably the first, who's got a tool that's really education specific, that's leveraging this. So you got that going for you too. Run with it, embrace it. And I'll be honest, whatever I can do to help promote and put it out there, I want to do that, because, you can pay for things in this world with time or money. People can go out to, TPT, and they can go buy pre-made lessons, whatever. But this takes critical thinking, 1, for you to create it, and 2, for anybody else to interact with it. You've got to be able to make sense of what you want to do, and it's going to react and play off of that. So it is valuable. Don't shy away. I don't want to see that this thing closed down, in 3 months because you got scared. So don't get scared. Let's go build it out, make it awesome. And, how can I help?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the encouragement. It really does mean a lot to me, both to have the encouragement, but also that support piece as well. I am very thankful to be surrounded by like a really supportive family, and also like a pretty substantial like Twitter backing as well of people that are constantly sending me messages and DMs of like, hey, keep going. We want this, make it happen. Like that means a lot to have that support. So thank you. Seriously. Thank you so much, Chris.
And my other thing would be, make sure you stay in the classroom as long as possible, because part of me while we're talking and listening to you share all this great gold is he's got something that's really good. I see on the website, it's free, but you are soliciting support and people who want to kind of contribute. And, obviously it's not free for you to do, there's costs with web hosting and obviously to do these things, and, time is money. But I would also, stay in the classroom and be, on the ground as an educator, doing the work as long as you can before you're jet setting all around the world, which I'm sure could happen tomorrow, if you really wanted to, with promoting and getting this out there.
I appreciate that grandiose vision, but I will tell you, like, my heart, and this is what I've told my principal, because he and I have a very open relationship about this discussion, both about AI, but also what I'm doing with Auto Classmate, is like, I personally believe that there's a value that is associated with me being in a classroom. And there's a value associated with me having conversations with other educators that are in classrooms, because like if we're just building tools as like third-party folks that aren't in classrooms or haven't been in classrooms in a time, I don't think that you're going to be building ultimately like the best possible AI tools, because they won't be timely. Like I'm able to, because I'm in the classroom, transform some prompt I use in ChatGPT real time into something for Auto Classmate. And I can, I've got a number of live conversations with folks around the country and the world that are educators that are like sending really great ideas for me to build out on Auto Classmate. And that's what it's about, is real time educators in the classroom right now that like can use the tools, give me or the developers of the site like the feedback. Hey, this is good, or no, this doesn't make sense. We don't do that anymore in education. I think there's a value with having the folks that are building out these tools actually being in a classroom. That's a value I don't think. That's why I've told my principal, I'm not going anywhere. Like I don't want to step out of the classroom. I want to be there, but also do this other thing in whatever capacity I can. So
can I add something else to the grandiose vision?
Please, you add it in there.
All right. So here's what I'm thinking. So you said you've had conversations with your principal, right? And you've built something called Auto Classmate. I would think down the road, this could evolve into Auto Schoolmate, and you've got this part of it that helps classroom teachers, and this other part that is built for school administrators, supervisors, directors of curriculum, and how can AI help that aspect of education and those folks do their jobs more efficiently and effectively. And you're starting to smile, so I'm not the first person to come up with this.
No. I've not had that conversation with anybody. Like my principal briefly mentioned a couple weeks ago, something to the effect of, I've got a few ideas about like the ways that you could build something that'd be really helpful for administrators. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts about it. But also, I was smirking because I was like, I need to go buy that domain name real quick before someone
AutoSchoolmate.com.
Yeah, I need to go buy that, so that no one beats me to it. Because that's one of the issues here is like these domains are getting snatched up out the wazoo. Anything that's .ai, like I don't even own the .ai for Auto Classmate yet, because I'm not going to pay the money until I can kind of cover the expenses that me and my wife have pulled into this side hustle, basically. But I was laughing because, anytime I hear a good domain, I'm always like, should I buy that? I should probably buy that. I'm going to go do that quick.
For me, a side note, it's I walk around and think, oh, that could be a podcast. That could be a podcast. Oh, yeah, we could podcast about that. Yeah. Everything could be a podcast.
That's awesome.
But my thoughts on Auto Schoolmate, .ai or .io or whatever. It's you get in there and, you have the educator side, and, I guess for an administrator, it could be help, writing observations, if you could upload, the Danielson rubric, and, an administrator could put in there the notes, or, I'm sure we could get to a point where all right, I could upload an audio recording and it could fill out my reports or my form, or, write feedback for a teacher on a lesson I observed, or, help an administrator write discipline in an effective way, or write letters to the community, or, write that graduation speech if you're the superintendent or the principal of the, whatever. Just keep talking to your principal and have dialogue with other administrators on what do you want to get your time back for that AI could help you do that with. What are the time sucks in your day?
Yep. No, those are all wonderful ideas. And that's what it boils down to, is like the time sucks that I know for a fact that administrators have. I know every educator has those, but man, there are some days, there's some weeks where I just know for a fact that those administrators are trying to do 10,005 things all at the same time. And there's simply just not enough time. But
and then one thing can come along and push those 10,000 things off to the side because you got that 10,006th.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Logan, is there anything else you'd like to share or talk about with the listener that I haven't asked you about that they should know? New features, anything? The floor is yours.
Sure. So I have like a whole list of tools that will be coming out on the site, as I have the time to crank them out. The thing that's going to be launching, I'm hoping within really the next week, so you're right, it could be live by the time this even airs, is the site's going to switch over to basically a freemium model where I'm always going to keep as many of these tools free and accessible to educators as I possibly can, but I'm going to switch it to where you'll be able to sign up for a membership and have access to like the all-inclusive. You get every single possible thing that I'll ever create or that AutoClassmate ever puts out. You'll have access to all the tools. And most notably, besides that instructional or AI-powered instructional coach tool, I'm very close to launching my own version of the AI lesson. It is a fully customizable, dynamic lesson planning tool that is AI generated, where you'll get to pick kind of the components of a lesson plan that you personally like to include so that it's tailored to you. And again, when that goes live, the instructional AI coach will already be live. And so you'll basically get to have a dialogue with your lesson, the instructional, about your lesson plan. And that's a piece that I'm playing around with on my own before I make this live, because it's just really powerful to be able to have a live conversation with someone that knows essentially all that there is to know theoretically about education. But other tools that I have in development that'll come out in the next couple of weeks are like a full like vocabulary unit planner where you'll get to input different types of data that generate everything that you could think of for using vocabulary in your classroom, regardless of, if you're an ELA teacher or you teach science or math, like whatever it is pertinent for you, you'll be able to create all kinds of things. One of the other tools is like basically, I don't know what to call it quite yet, but it essentially will take like a lesson plan or an activity or even just like a standard or a real rudimentary idea that you have and turn it into a game. Like it's a game specific AI powered generator. So you can use the tool to create some sort of engaging learning game that hopefully is like unique and engaging. And then there's one more. I'm trying to think of the other one I have in development right now. Actually, there are two others. Now I think about it. Someone reached out to me about developing like a debate coach or a debate sparring partner. They're wanting to use it live in their class, but essentially the idea is if I train a version of ChatGPT to be like an expert at engaging in a debate, their idea is to like have that tool pulled up in their class, projected on the screen, and they start off with the topic, and then the AI takes a side, and then the students are responsible for coming up with the rebuttal. And then you can just keep on going back and forth with it, which I think that would be really, really neat to have something like that in in a class. And then the last tool idea was it's based off of this prompt I've been using for coming up with like contextual learning ideas or activities. And what I mean by that is actually kind of like that theme park idea from earlier, where the students adopt the role of they're a theme park, and it's geared toward, in that case, a specific standard. But this tool will generate all right, your students are going to act like they're chefs, or they're going to act like they're engineers, and they have to do this thing, build this thing, write this thing, create this thing as that role in that specific context to whatever it is you're wanting your students. So those are the next steps. And timeline is to be determined.
Of course. Yeah. It's tough to put a timestamp on anything like that because, again, full-time teacher, married. So, yeah, you got to pace yourself. You don't want to certainly burn out. And then, again, I go there one day and it's gone. So please. But let me add something to the list. Maybe let's get the novice pre-service teacher in there, an interview tool, have a conversation and get some interview prep for teaching jobs.
There we go. Yeah. And that's totally doable, especially if I can have conversations with those administrators that are actually conducting those interviews. Oh my goodness. Yeah. You could easily train a version of ChatGPT that's like really, really powerful at asking those types of questions to you. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I try. I have one from time to time.
We just need to have like a weekly conversation, and you just like have your experience and wisdom just flow out, and then I'll turn it into some sort of AI tool. And
more people should be asking me to do that. No, I'm kidding. Let's get an AI trained on my way of thinking. No, that would probably not be good for anybody.
We can do that too. That'll be it.
We could.
It's the Chris Nessie conversation partner.
I would go to ChatGPT and have it come up with more creative name.
We can also do that. We'll build a tool that does that for us.
Yes. So much to do. All right. So, Logan, I hope you've had fun. I've really enjoyed talking to you, getting to know you and learn more about AutoClassmate and what it can do. So for you who's listening, you must, if you do one thing with this episode, go to autoclassmate.io, check it out, sign up, become an early bird member, make that one-time contribution, or just check it out and play with it for free. Logan's contact information is a swipe or a tap away in your podcast listening app. But Logan, I still want you to say it out loud. So how can people connect with you and give you ideas like I have?
For sure. Yeah. So if you want to follow me and interact with me on Twitter, you can follow me at Logan C. Greenhaw. You can also follow AutoClassmate. I've got social media channels for AutoClassmate on its own. You can follow AutoClassmate on Twitter at Classmate. You can follow the Facebook page at AutoClassmate. And there's also an Instagram account that is not incredibly active right now, but it's also at Classmate. And you can always go to our website at autoclassmate.io to find those links and all the tools that we discussed in this podcast.
Awesome. Logan, thank you so much for taking time to be here on the podcast. Again, I've enjoyed speaking with you, and you're going to be one of these people, and really it's anybody, but I'm going to tailor it to you. I want to have you back again and again to continue to learn about AI for myself, selfishly, and share more conversations with my listening audience. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Chris. It's been a great conversation. Thank you for the laughs and for the incredible ideas.
Awesome. We will talk to you soon. And now it's time for this episode's House of EdTech recommendation. As I did in episode 221, here are 4 more awesome Chrome extensions that you should try out. Number 1, Tab Wrangler. Do you find yourself with too many tabs open on your computer and it's running slow? Tab Wrangler is a viable solution. This extension automatically closes unused tabs after a specific period of time to reduce background resource usage. This helps to keep your computer running smoothly and improves productivity by minimizing distractions. That's Tab Wrangler. Number 2, Keyword Surfer. If you're looking to improve your website's search engine optimization, SEO, Keyword Surfer is the perfect extension. This tool generates keyword ideas and displays search volumes in Google search results. Keyword Surfer is useful for content creation and optimizing a website's content to improve your ranking in search engine results. So if you're teaching web design or you've got a website yourself, this would be a really good extension for you to check out. And again, that's Keyword Surfer. Number 3, Microsoft Autofill. Whether you're using Edge or the Chrome browser, Microsoft Autofill is a great way to save time and improve your productivity. This extension saves passwords, addresses, and payment information to autofill them on the websites you visit. This is a great way to save time and improve productivity by not having to type in the same information over and over and over and, well, you get the idea. That's Microsoft Autofill. And number 4, this is called CRX Mouse. Boosting productivity while browsing the web is always a plus, and CRX Mouse is here to help. This extension enables mouse gestures for simple tasks such as opening a new tab or closing a tab, for example. This can help you save time and make browsing the web more efficient. So again, Tab Wrangler, Keyword Surfer, Microsoft Autofill, and CRX Mouse. The links to all of these extensions will be in the show notes, which are a swipe or a tap away in the app you're listening in right now, or if you're driving or something, wait and then go to chrisnessy.com/222. And that's my EdTech recommendation. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of the House of EdTech podcast. If you're not subscribed or following the show, I hope that you'll continue to make this podcast a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. Thank you again to Logan for joining me, and be sure you check out all of the tools that are there now and will be coming to autoclassmate.io for yourself. If you want to get the most value out of the House of EdTech, check out the show notes for this episode. You'll find links to all of the resources mentioned in the episode, and this is a great way to deepen your understanding of the topics and take your learning to the next level. Again, they're a swipe or a tap away, or go to chrisnessy.com/222. I also love hearing from my listeners, and I value your feedback and perspectives. If you have thoughts or questions about a recent episode or any other topic related to education and technology, don't be shy. Email me, feedback@chrisnessy.com, or better yet, leave a voicemail at chrisnessy.com/voicemail. Your input helps me create better content and improve the show, so I encourage you to reach out and share your thoughts with me. I can't wait to hear from you. If you know someone who might benefit from listening to the episode or the show in general, please share it with them. You can easily share a link to the podcast on social media or through word of mouth. Your support helps me reach more people and continue to bring you great content. Thank you for helping me spread the word about the House of EdTech. If you want to give back to the show and help me continue to bring you awesome content, consider becoming an awesome supporter. I am very thankful for the ongoing support from the following people: Jeff Herb, Peggy George, Dan Gallagher, Mike Messner, Matt Miller, Brian Carpenter, and Aaron Cummings. If you're getting value from this podcast, you can also be awesome by visiting chrisnessy.com/awesome. The next episode of the podcast is going to be episode 223, and that's going to come your way on April 23rd, 2023. Again, I'm going to be in Philly for ISTE on that Monday and Tuesday. And there was something else I wanted to share. Oh, if you listen this far, go join the Discord community. Go to chrisnessy.com/Discord. That's my final call to action. Until next time, thank you for learning with me. And remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try.